Sound off with me, folks, on Friday night. Geno time showing up at TD Garden. Yes, the Celtics got back into the win column, and they did it in resounding fashion. They win by 20 points over the Phoenix Suns to sweep the season series against a Suns team that certainly is not living up to expectations this season. That team is fighting for a playoff spot and just to get into the play-in. Meanwhile, the Boston Celtics are sitting very comfortable in that number 2 seed in the East. It looks like they're going to be locked into that position heading into the NBA playoffs. And listen, this game was needed. This bounce back was needed. Tonight against Phoenix, the Boston Celtics look like themselves. They look like the team that we've seen all season long outside of that little stretch from mid-December to mid-January. This is the team tonight that controls the pace of the game. This is the team that makes the other team adjust to them. This is the team that can make a run to the NBA Finals. Now, this also is not the team that we saw Wednesday night. Wednesday night, when this team came back for its first home game following a 6-game road trip, all of which, by the way, the Boston Celtics won all 6 of those games on the road trip. But that team that played Wednesday night, it looked tired, it looked exhausted, it looked mentally drained. It simply did not look like itself. And so you fast forward 48 hours and you want to see, that's a critical part of championship caliber teams, is being able to flush those ugly games down the drain and then flip a switch and get right back to who you really are at your core in your next game. That's what Boston did tonight. We're not even going to remember what happened Wednesday night because the Celtics got back on track during this game. And a lot of people out there, you know, the Celtics are up by 20-plus points during the fourth quarter. A lot of people are wondering, why does Joe Mazzulla have Jason Tatum checking back in with 5 or 6 minutes left? Why is Jaylen Brown out there? Derek White, Drew Holiday, why are these guys out on the court? I had a hunch, and Joe Mazzulla confirmed it after the game. The reason is because he wants to get these guys extended minutes together down the stretch of the season, and I don't think they're going to wind up playing all together in a whole lot of games the rest of the season. So this is, not a lot of time to do it. Time is of the essence, and he's trying to get these core players on the court together. Let me tell you this, if you didn't see this, or you didn't know this, you didn't see it when I sent it out on X earlier tonight during the game. This was only the 23rd game that Boston starters have played together this year. Think about that. We're almost 80 games into the season. This is the 23rd game that the Celtics starters have played together. That's just incredible to think about that for this season, that the Celtics are where they are, on the verge of winning 60 games, and their starters have only played 23 games together this season, and that includes tonight. So, to the point of what Joe Mazzulla is getting at, he wants to get those guys a good amount of time on the court together to catch their rhythm together as the playoffs come around and get closer and closer. At the same time, he's going to have to figure out how to do that all while getting these guys some rest and making sure that they are 100% or as close to it as they can be heading into the postseason. I got a feeling that's why he was running these guys tonight late in the game. And even though it was a blowout, and he's now going to have to choose over these final 6 games of the season how he's going to mix and match that. What nights is he going to try to do that? What nights is he going to try to get these guys some rest and make sure that everyone is good? The last thing you want is an injury. And by the way, tonight, Kristaps Porzingis got pretty close to an injury. He got crushed on his nose, wound up heading out of the game. He was questionable to return. He did not check back into the game. Looks like he's fine. He left the court smiling. He returned to the court smiling, so it looks like he's going to be okay. But that could have wound up being a broken nose. That could have wound up being a broken orbital bone, anything like that. Thank goodness that didn't happen. But you never know when something like that can happen. So, again, Joe Mazzulla is going to have to kind of balance what he's doing with these lineups and getting these starters run together and also protecting them and making sure that everyone's good for the postseason. But a great bounce-back win tonight. And Jaylen Brown was at the forefront of it all. From the very start of this game, a lot of people question whether he should be playing right now because he is dealing with some knee soreness that he has been very public about and he's acknowledged. He proved to you tonight that he's just fine, okay? 31 points in the game, 6 buckets in the paint at the rim during this contest. That's the biggest thing to me, not just settling, not just taking three-pointers, although he did connect on a good amount of three-pointers tonight, but he was driving to the basket and connecting on buckets at the rim. That's what you want to see out of Jaylen Brown. That's how he sets the tone. That's how he impacts the game first and foremost, and then everything from the mid-range and then the three-point range follow after that, and that's what happened tonight. So great to see Jaylen playing not only great, but playing strong in getting to the rim. Tonight, his 31-point game was the first time he's gotten to 31 or surpassed 30 points, actually in almost a month. It was March 8th was the last time that happened. It was against the Los Angeles Lakers right here at TD Garden. So it's great to see him surpass that 30-point barrier, and then the way he did it, it was what really stands out. It wasn't just chucking shots from deep. Okay, he was getting to the rim, putting pressure on the defense, and not only getting there, but finishing at the rim. That's a big deal to be able to see Jaylen Brown getting back to being comfortable doing that as he's dealing with some of this knee soreness. So that's great. As a whole for the Celtics, balance across the board. Everyone who played more than 2 minutes scored in this game, and that was the top 9, and that top 9 played the first 46 minutes of this game together. There were no one else checked in. It was the top 9 that played in this game for the majority of the game until those final couple minutes when Joe took the main players out. But that was great to see all of them get run and then all of them be involved and all of them score. Everyone contributed. This was a balanced attack, and the Celtics wound up shooting above 50% during this game, almost 52% from the field, 36% from distance. Not exactly, lighting it up, but pretty quality, especially during the first couple of quarters. That first half, the team was on fire. But when you look at it, the Celtics scored 29 points in each of the 4 quarters, so the offense was humming enough during all 4 quarters to really be picking apart Phoenix's defense. 29 points a quarter is pretty darn good, and they actually surpassed that number in a couple of the quarters. So great offense, and then at the defensive end of the court, you loved what you saw. The other night just didn't look like the Celtics had the energy to defend at a high level, and likewise at the other end of the court, they didn't have the energy to run quality offense with movement and passing and screening and all that stuff. We just didn't see it Wednesday night. But tonight, the defense was great. I mean, Devin Booker was the only guy. He scored 37 points for Phoenix. No one else scored more than 12. I mean, and many of those points were actually scored late in the game. Royce O'Neal connected on a couple three-pointers to get his point total up to 12. But it was nothing outside of Devin Booker during this game. And that includes Jason Tatum, his best friend, Bradley Beal. He only scored 1 point in this game. Played 30 minutes. Only scored 1 point. So the Celtics did a great job shutting him down, held him to 0 of 7. Devin Booker, as I said, a great performance from him. He hit some tough shots, but he shot 15 of 29 from the field for 37 points. He had a great game, but the Celtics kept everyone else in check. So great to see out of the defense as well as the offense. Playing two-way basketball at this time of the year is important, especially as the playoffs roll around. All right, let's dive into a couple comments from our fans tonight. First up, we got, oh, look, it's Brian with some observations on a few different Celtics players tonight. And then next up, we've got Quapt, K-W-A-P-T. We all know him on social media, big-time Celtics fan. He's got a comment on the Celtics offense looking like a juggernaut right now. So let's dive into the first one here. This is coming in from, oh, look, it's Brian. All right, as I said, first up is, oh, look, it's Brian, longtime listener, longtime commenter. I appreciate you. And here's the comment. Luke has been coming into his own lately. Love seeing it. He's the other big green monster of Boston. How fitting that the expected sixth man of the year hits the record-breaking 3. Congrats on the new shoe deal. That's obviously to Payton Pritchard. And then lastly, JB going energy shifter tonight. Great late clock 3 off the tip ball. All right, let's start out with the commentary on Luke Kornet, who has been arguably one of the best backup big men in the NBA this season. Now, a lot of people will take that and be like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? No, I'm not crazy. This guy is reliable and consistent, and he brings the same thing to the Celtics every single night. It doesn't matter if the stats are there. It matters that the consistency is there. The reliability is there. When you are surrounded by great players, all-star level players, superstar level players, Hall of Fame level players, and the Celtics have at least 4 of them in the starting lineup. And then Derek White, we'll see what happens the rest of his career, but not in the starting lineup in the top 5. KP's not quite there yet either, but Al Horford definitely is coming off the bench. When you've got 4 Hall of Famers in your top 6 or 7 players, you've just got to play your role. And you've got to play it at a high level. As Brad Stevens used to say, be a superstar in your role. Luke Kornet is that. He's been doing it all season long, and man, these last couple months, he's really been coming on and being incredibly impactful. Tonight, he finishes with 12 points and 4 rebounds, and it just seems like he's in the right spot at the right time all the time. Whether it's setting a screen, grabbing a rebound, tipping a ball out, catching an alley-oop, finishing a backhanded alley-oop. It was like almost a reverse dunk, but it was a thrunk. He kind of threw it in. But even with a little grace and athleticism there with Luke Kornet off the catch on the alley-oop. But he really has just improved so much in his career, and now he's turned himself into one of the most reliable and important big men in the NBA. He's been great off the bench for the Celtics, and I'm telling you right now, they would not be title contenders without him. And with him, man, they've got a nice rotation of big men to use during the postseason to play all sorts of lineups. They can play double big. They can go one big. All sorts of things that Joe Mazzulla has at his disposal right now as the Celtics approach the postseason. Next comment was about Payton Pritchard hitting the record-setting three-pointer. Yes, Payton Pritchard, the 6th man of the year. He's got to win the award. I don't think there's really an argument against it. He's the one who canned the three-pointer to make sure that the Boston Celtics have the most three-pointers ever made in NBA history by any team in a single season. That happened tonight against the Phoenix Suns, and Payton Pritchard was the guy to make the shot. It did feel pretty fitting. I feel like it had to be either him or Derek White, who was the other marksman on the team and actually just recently set the record for most three-pointers made by a single player in a single season in Celtics history. I felt like it had to be one of those guys, and it did wind up being one of those guys with Payton Pritchard. So great for him. It was a really cool moment. Awesome to see that the Celtics are doing what they've always done for their entire history. Since 1946, all this team does is write history. And tonight, they rewrote history in the NBA by setting the new record for most three-pointers made by a single team in NBA history. And by the way, they still have 6 games left. So they're going to blow past this number that was set tonight. They're going to make another, 6 games times 10, let's say 60, at least 60 more threes this season. So it's not even going to be close. They are going to run away from this record. It might be 60, 80, who knows how many they're going to make over these final 6 games. So awesome to see. Congrats to Payton Pritchard on the new shoe deal, and also congrats on making this big shot and making history tonight at TD Garden. Last comment here from Oh Look, It's Brian. JB going energy shifter tonight. Great late clock 3 off the tip ball. That was awesome. When he made that, I was like, okay, it's the Celtics night, and it's Jaylen Brown's night. He's going to have a big one, and it wound up being the case. 31 points, and the Celtics kind of win this game running away. That shot kind of felt like when Payton Pritchard made the buzzer beater at the end of the first half in the finals game against the Dallas Mavericks. Once he made that, you knew they were going to win. They did. Felt the exact same tonight. Not quite as much juice behind it, but once he made that shot, you're like, okay, that's it. Call the dogs off. It's the Celtics night. That's exactly what happened. JB had a great night. We already touched on that. So great to see him getting to the rim, scoring 30-plus points, and making that pretty cool shot early. I believe that was early in the first quarter. So thanks for the comments. Oh, look, it's Brian. Look forward to seeing more of you the rest of the season. Now let's get into our next one. All right, next up we've got Quapped, and here's the comment. Celtics offense was like a juggernaut. The Jays are both locked in. KP is playing the best ball of the season, and Pritchard and Luke holding it down off the bench. Don't forget Big Al, by the way, Mr. Consistency. What I said earlier about Luke Kornet being consistent, he is learning from the man who is the model of consistency, and that is Al Horford. So don't forget about him. But yes, the Boston Celtics offense looked like a juggernaut tonight, which is what they've looked like basically all season long. Outside of that slump, when Derek White wasn't shooting well, the Jays weren't playing all so well, whatever. Let's forget that even happened in December and January, because that's not who this team has been for the majority of this season. They have been a juggernaut offensively, one of the greatest offensive teams in NBA history, and they're going to continue to be that, I guarantee it, as we head toward the postseason and as we get through the postseason. Tonight, you just had a really good look as to why. Okay, you've got Jaylen Brown attacking the rim and scoring from the perimeter. Jason Tatum scores from all three levels. Kristaps Porzingis scores from all three levels and is a matchup nightmare when anyone small gets switched onto him. He's just going to post up and shoot right over them, just like we saw in the NBA Finals last year. Derek White, we know that he can shoot from all over the court. One of the best catch-and-shoot three-point shooters in the league. And, by the way, the best clutch three-point shooter in the league. Jrue Holiday didn't have a big night tonight, but he scored 4 points, only had a couple assists. Not a big deal. We know that he can score at the rim. You just keep going down the list. Payton Pritchard, he's a marksman, one of the best scorers and shooters in the NBA coming off the bench. Luke Kornet, again, as we just talked about, 12 points. He's been a real rim threat on those pick and rolls, getting to the rim. The ball handlers are seeing just how valuable it is to have someone like that rolling off of those screens. When someone like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Derek White garners attention on those screens, when they've got the ball in their hands, they know they can just flip it up, and they've got a 7-footer that's going to catch it high and finish high. And that's exactly what Luke Kornet is doing. Al Horford, consistent as always, and Sam Hauser, one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. This team, when everyone is clicking, and really even when not everyone is clicking, when you've got 80% of that group of 9 players are shooting the ball well and playing well, they're almost unstoppable. They really are, because you've just got so much skill. You've got so much high basketball IQ. It's hard to make the Celtics make mistakes. And tonight we saw that only 7 turnovers, and they shoot almost 52% from the field. It doesn't get much better than that when it comes to the game of basketball. So this is a juggernaut of an offense. Hopefully this continues as we go through the rest of the season and the playoffs. I expect it to, because this is who the Celtics have been for the majority of the past 2 seasons, and it is the same group of players as we've seen last season. They're going to do it again this season. They have been doing it again, and man, do they have so much skill, and they're just so smart. There's no way to take away their strengths because they have so many strengths, and everyone is totally willing to say, okay, it's not my night. I'll get it over to this guy. It's his night because of the way this team is defending us. So just another example tonight of the Boston Celtics just picking apart a defense to the tune of 123 points on 52% shooting, in everyone in the top 9 scoring, and 6 of those guys scoring in double figures. An excellent night from the Boston Celtics. We said it the other night on Sound Off. We needed the Celtics to bounce back tonight against Phoenix, and they did it in Geno fashion. Geno was up on the Jumbotron. Everyone was dancing, having a good time. That's exactly what you want on a Friday night. Great way to go into the weekend, but the Celtics' work is not done. They will be back on the TD Garden Court at 6 o'clock Sunday night. They've got Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, and the Washington Wizards coming to town, looking to close out the weekend and this homestand with a win. So I appreciate you guys watching, listening, commenting, and I hope you do the same Sunday. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you Sunday night.